On August 7, 1942, elements of the 1st Marine Division landed on Guadalcanal. The U.S. Navy was assigned the job of sea support in the Solomon Islands. There were few capital ships available, and they were ill-suited for the narrow channel waters. The PT boats were. They were fast, shallow draft whippets carrying maximum torpedo power. Their assignment? Harass the enemy, and buy time for a navy that was still on the drawing boards. This episode concerns one of those boats and its crew, commanded by Lieutenant J.G. John F. Kennedy, PT-109. Hello, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Jack Russell, and this is Brick Built History. Today, we're looking at motor torpedo boat number 109, better known as PT-109, the most famous PT boat in U.S. Navy history. PT-109 was captained by John Fitzgerald Kennedy during World War II, and before I give too much away, let's go back and look at the basic history of PT-109. Laid down on March 4, 1942, the hull that would later become PT-109 was the 7th 40-ton motor torpedo boat built there. Launched June 20, 1942, the boat was delivered to the Navy on July 10th, where she was fitted out at the Brooklyn Navy Yard. The Elco 80-foot design was the largest PT boat design of the war. The boats were built mostly of wood, which made them light and subsequently very fast. But the wood also offered little in the way of protection in combat. PT-109 arrived via cargo ship at Tulagi Harbor at the end of November 1942. It joined the earlier boats which had established Motor Torpedo Base in October, forming Motor Torpedo Boat Flotilla 1. PT-109 went into action for the first time on the night of December 7, 1942, the same day Ryan Zismansky's beloved New Jersey was launched. By early 1943, PT-109 encountered the Japanese several times as she and her sister boats continued intercepting Tokyo Express supply runs. Over the next few months, while the MTB flotilla regrouped on Tulagi, the Japanese devoted most of their efforts to strengthening their garrisons in the Upper Solomons. On April 20, 1943, Ensign Leonard Tom, the boat's new XO, took charge until relieved by Lieutenant J.G. John Jack Kennedy on April 24, 1943. Now that we're up to speed on the background of PT-109, let's talk about the model. This is Cobi set number 4825, originally retailing for $260. This was the largest Cobi set at the time, with 3,726 pieces. Right now, as of this video, it's on sale, so go pick one up. And yes, that actually means, for the first time in this series, a model you can actually buy right now. I'll put the links in the description and the pinned comment below. The model is 1/35 scale, which makes it over 28 inches long. When it comes to brick-built models, I consider between 132 and 135 to be minifigure scale. And this brings me to my first problem with this set, and it's not the boat itself. It's the Cobi minifigures. The set comes with 4 in various uniforms, with one I'm assuming is supposed to be Kennedy himself, and they're the things of nightmares. In fairness, this isn't a Cobi problem specifically. In my opinion, no other company has come close to replicating the perfection that is a LEGO minifigure. For comparison, here's a LEGO-bodied Brickmania Navy sailor next to its Cobi counterpart. Yikes. Minifigures aside, this is a wonderful model. Featuring 13 numbered bags, it took me roughly 12 hours to complete. Cobi builders will know how dense their models can be, and while the quality control at Cobi has gotten so much better over the past few years, this didn't stop me from having one instance where a plate included was simply the wrong color. Believe me, I checked my work to make sure this wasn't my doing. But no harm done, the finished product is an epic display piece, perfect for any lover of naval history. Now the real party piece to this model is the full interior, so let's go ahead and pop the deck off and take a look inside. With the deck off, we can see the detailed crew compartment, mess, and officers' quarters. Moving further back, there are additional crew berths which sit on top of the boat's 3 1,000-gallon fuel tanks. Moving further back still, we have the engine room, which houses the boat's 3 Packard 4M 2500 liquid-cooled 41-liter V12 engines, each producing 1,500 horsepower, altogether capable of driving the boat to 41 knots. After the engine room, we have what I assume is the steering compartment, but in this model it's completely empty. A good place to hide these. Now that we've seen some of the model specifics, let's rejoin PT-109 in August 1943. On August 1st, 1943, intelligence reports indicated 5 enemy destroyers were scheduled to run that night from Bougainville Island through Blackett Strait. The flotilla dispatched 15 boats, including PT-109, in 4 sections to meet the Japanese destroyers. PT-169 came alongside and reported an engine out of order. She lay to with PT-109 and 162 to await developments while instructions were requested from base. Unknown to them, the Japanese destroyer Amagiri was returning north to retire after completing a supply mission and had spotted the torpedo boats at a range of 1,000 yards. Rather than open fire and give away their position, the destroyer's captain, Lieutenant Commander Kohei Hanami, turned to intercept and closed in the darkness at 30 knots. Spotted by PT-109 at 200 to 300 yards, Kennedy ordered the boat to turn to starboard. However, they only had mere seconds to respond and the destroyer rammed, neither slowing nor firing her guns as she split the boat apart. So let's take a look at where destroyer Amagiri actually hit PT-109. Amagiri hits PT-109 on the starboard side at a 20-degree angle, cutting backwards towards the port aft 50 caliber mount. Let's take a look at the inside and see where that actually hits. So removing the deck section, we can see that Amagiri cuts through PT-109 right between the engine room and the fuel tanks. Amagiri was slightly damaged in the collision, smashing in part of her bow and bending her screws. The warship still made 24 knots on the run home to Rabaul, arriving safely the following morning. Sparks ignited the gasoline on the water some 20 yards around the wreckage of PT-109, driving the crew in all directions. Given the severity of the collision, explosion, and subsequent fire, there were relatively few casualties when compared to the losses of other PT boats in the theater. The rescue of the 11 PT-109 survivors was a lengthy and dangerous process. I'll let Rick detail Kennedy's exploits and the rescue of PT-109's crew in a future episode of Channel Markers. Now that we know why PT-109 is the most famous PT boat in U.S. Navy history, let's look at some of the model features before we close out the episode. The 37mm gun is nicely modeled on the bow. Funny enough, this gun was added the day of the sinking and was never used. The boat's superstructure is well designed and uses many fun building techniques to achieve a perfectly smooth finish. The set features no stickers, a huge win in my book. The dashboard, PT-109 numbers, and even the Packard logo on the engine valve covers are all printed pieces. The twin 50 caliber mounts are mounted flimsily and are my least favorite part of the whole exterior, though the positions themselves are very well modeled. The boat's 4 torpedo tubes are nicely detailed and can pivot out to the firing position just like the real boat. The mast is a fun build and is surprisingly sturdy considering the bar and clip construction. Moving to the stern, we have the boat's 20mm gun and the large printed American flag. Finishing off with the boat's 3 propellers, rudders, and 6 large iconic mufflers. Before we go, I wanted to give a big shout out to my friend Ryan Zismansky, who actually provided the model for this episode. I wanted to thank all of you for sticking around to the end of the video. If you like these sort of things, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.